Hi everyone, my name is Ajana Limova. This is Accounting 301 Section 3, and today I'm going to talk about the mesmerizing marketers case. So here's the whole case, and the main objective of this case is to understand the new revenue recognition model and explain how would account for the above scenario under the new standard. The new revenue recognition principle has 5 steps. Step number 1, identify the contract with the customer. Step number 2, identify the performance obligations in the contract. Step number 3, determine the overall transaction price for the contract. Step number 4, allocate the transaction price to the performance obligations. Step number 5, recognize revenue when performance obligations are satisfied. Step 1. Identify the contract with the customer. According to ASC, a contract is an agreement between two or more parties that creates enforceable rights and obligations. An entity should apply the requirements to each contract that meets the following criteria. A. Approval and commitment of the parties. B. Identification of the rights of the parties. C. Identification of the payment terms. D. The contract has commercial substance. E. It is probable that the entity will collect the consideration to which it will be entitled in exchange for the goods or services that will be transferred to the customer. With regards to the MM's case, all 5 criteria are in compliance with it, based on the following. MM and Stone have a verbal agreement based on MM's unsigned quote on November 30th for 1 TV commercial, 1 app, and a Facebook page. It is MM's right to get paid for the services provided to Stone, and it is Stone's right to get the ordered offerings from MM. The total transaction price for MM services is $1.5 million, and payment terms are 50% consideration due at contract signing, with the remaining 50% due over the rest of the development period. MM services are unique for each customer, which signifies commercial substance. MM performed a credit check on Stone and has determined that Stone has the intention and ability to pay MM for fulfilling its portion of the contract. Moreover, Stone is required to pay MM for performance completed to date if Stone cancels the contract with MM for reasons other than MM's failure to perform under the contract as promised. Step number 2. Identify the separate performance obligations in the contract. According to ASC, a performance obligation is the responsibility to provide a distinct product. In a contract, there can be one or multiple performance obligations. If there is only one performance obligation, the goods provided or services performed must be interrelated or dependent on each other. If there is more than one performance obligation, the goods provided or the services performed must not be dependent or interrelated. If goods are identified as separate, they can generate their own independent income. In Mesmerizing Marketer's case, there are 3 different performance obligations: to create a TV commercial, an app, and a Facebook page that should be accounted for separately. Step number 3. Determine the transaction price. As indicated by MM's pricing model, if a customer purchases all the items, the sale consideration will be $1.5 million. Payment terms are 50% consideration due at the contract signing, with the remaining 50% due over the rest of the development period, 25% at midpoint and 25% at completion. Additionally, Stone is offering them a $250,000 performance bonus if the app is downloaded over 500,000 times or more in the first month. As stated in ASC, the most likely amount may be an appropriate estimate if a contract has only 2 possible outcomes. Given MM's past experience with similar technology, they don't believe they'll earn the performance bonus. Using the most likely amount method, the transaction price will be $1.5 million. Step number 4. Allocate the transaction price to the separate performance obligations. According to ASC, transaction price can be allocated using the standalone selling price. Through determining the standalone selling price and allocating the transaction price in proportion to the standalone selling price. The standalone selling prices of each performance obligations are $1 million for creating a TV commercial, $500,000 for building an app, and $250,000 for building a Facebook page. The total of 3 standalone selling prices is $1.75 million. The transaction price is $1.5 million for all 3 together. Here are the approximate allocated selling prices. TV commercial $857,000, app $429,000, Facebook page $214,000. Step number 5. Recognize revenue when each performance obligation is satisfied. According to ASC, entity shall recognize revenue when or as the entity satisfies a performance obligation by transferring a promised good or service, that is an asset, to a customer. An asset is transferred when or as the customer obtains control of an asset. In this case, the performance obligation will be fulfilled for a period of time, since the company will build the asset without alternative use and will be entitled to the work that's been done until that time if the contract is canceled. Thus, for the Facebook page, MM will recognize the income within 2 weeks once the work is finished. Similarly, for the application, total revenue of $42,000 is recognized for 3 months, and revenue related to television advertising, $850,000, is recognized for 6 months. Entities may choose to use an input or output method to determine the stage of completion of revenue recognition.